Anchorage, I recognize.
And usually I plan our trips.
That'll be really exciting.
How about you? Are you?
Just some travel here and there. I have my year of class. We're turning 40, so my the first one when we were
Want to be ready?
60 to drive. Now she's the first to turn 40. So, her family has a condo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Monday, May 20th edition for 2019 of the City of Brentwood's Board of Aldermen meeting. We are about a month away from summer. This is our last regularly scheduled meeting before we go to the summer schedule. We're glad that you're here. If you have an opportunity to grab any of the paperwork outside the chambers, now would be the time to do that before we get started with our agenda. And now, if you could, please help us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Deputy City Clerk, if we could please have the roll call.
Alderman Kramer.
Present.
Alderman Leahy.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill. Alderwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderwoman Sims.
Here.
Alderman Weggie.
Here.
And Alderman Plufka is absent.
So we do have a fairly short agenda, it would appear, tonight. So if we're in good luck, we might be able to get through fairly efficiently. Alderman Dimmitt, who is now the mayor of the city of Brentwood, is away this evening, so I'll be sitting in for a little while. And Alderman Plufka, as we heard, is also away. He might be joining us late. Up to the approval or amendment of the existing agenda for tonight. Does anyone have a recommendation to approve as submitted or any changes?
Motion to approve as submitted.
Second.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. We're moving forward, and we have our report from Kerber, Eck, and Breichel, the independent review of the expenditures of proceeds from our series certificates of participation, the COPs for 2018. And Karen, you're going to, okay, thanks for being here.
I think late Friday, Mayor Dimmitt talked to, I think her name's Gina Cochran, the head auditor, and didn't feel there was a need for them to come and present because really they did their 3 scopes, which are 1, 2, and 3 that you can read on there. And the only quote finding they had, or an exception, was number 2, examine invoices to determine if the City of Brentwood policy and internal controls were followed. Well, our policies and internal controls, as you all know, is anything over $2,000 we had to bring on a warrant list to get board approval. But they found the check request form, which we don't really do one when there are these things that are for Brentwood bound for purchasing of land, which was for 8302 and 8304 Manchester Road for the project. And then I believe they had another one for a escrow payment of $100,000 for a different piece of property. And as you know, that gets approved by the board in closed session, and we get that. And from the time maybe you guys have that to the time they close, you may not have a board meeting. So we can't put that on a warrant list. That's basically what they're pointing out. So there's probably always going to be a timing issue. But the key here is that you all know this prior to us cutting a check. We just don't write $1.7 million checks without the board approval. So that was the one exception they noted. And I will also add, that's probably going to come up again and again while we continue to buy property. It will only not happen if it is timed almost perfectly. What we will put them on the warrant list, but it'll be after the fact. So you'll be seeing it again and it'll get approved again. But it's really the only way you can do it. We did follow our internal controls, not the way it's written that they see it, because we got board approval in closed session. So I will answer any questions.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Along those lines, Karen, we're looking at the warrant list for tonight, and there's a payment that you had to make on a property to make a court deadline.
That's correct.
That's pretty much what you're talking about?
That is exactly what I'm talking about. And that was last week. and they actually came and picked the check up. So we had to expedite it through UMB. They had to expedite it through their corporate in Kansas City. And then the next day, they came to pick it up. But again, it had been approved. That gets provided to me from BOA or Shelley, what you discussed in closed session, so that I have a record of it and I can attach it to all that. Because as I told BOA, I cannot write a check for that amount of money without knowing the board had approved it. That's what she gives me. And then we put it on after the fact.
Thank you.
Alderman Leahy.
Karen, would it be of any value to so note on the warrant list that a check has been cut and processed prior to the approval because of an earlier action that gave authorization?
Yeah, we
That way
can note
the
that.
auditors couldn't cite you. It says, yes, we've documented how we got there.
But you know what? Because this is, I'm guessing on this, but I think they would still probably note it because our internal controls say anything over $2,000, and this is such a unique situation. We've never had auditors check just this specific of a thing. I can try it and we'll see what they say, and we can just do it anyway, just for the public's purpose, and see what happens the next time. Anything else?
Brandon, questions? No? Thank you so much.
All right, great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, moving along to the second part of item number 4 in the proclamation. This is the National Public Works Week proclamation for May 19th to the 25th. And it all starts here is the title of our proclamation, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are all of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of our city, Brentwood, Missouri. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for the citizens of our city. And whereas it's in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and the children in Brentwood, Missouri to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2019 marks the 59th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and the Canadian Public Works Association. Therefore, now, the mayor of the city of Brentwood, David Dimmitt, does hereby designate the week, May 19th through the 25th, 2019, as National Public Works Week, urging all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers and managers, and employees, and also to recognize the substantial contributions that they make protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Presented this 20th day of May, 2019, and congratulations to our Public Works organization. Thank you. I know some of us were speaking a little bit earlier. I know Alderwoman O'Neill was speaking. Perhaps there's a way we could add on to our recognition of the Public Works Department and all of our wonderful employees. And perhaps we'll be thinking about that in the not-too-distant future. But well-deserved proclamation. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for all that you do for the city. We really appreciate it. Next item on the agenda, for those who'd like to come up with any criticism or questions, any comments, citizen comments, now's the opportunity for you. If you could, give us your name at least and your address if you're willing. Please come forward. Now's the time.
Karen Smith on Harrison. I just wanted to comment on the Bill 6241 that you're considering tonight, which is to rezone property located at 8820 Lawn Avenue from B single-family residential to planned development. Realize that the property has been largely used for non-residential purposes, but am always disappointed when I see residential property being switched over from residential to developed areas, especially when it's encroaching back into our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward? Now's the time. And we thank you for that. We'll have another opportunity later on in the meeting. We have the aldermanic reports and the mayor. I have nothing, and we move over to Alderman Leahy.
Thank you, Your Honor. The Ward 3 meeting for the month of May will be Tuesday night, May 28th at 7 p.m. in the Rec Center. All are invited. And I'll ask that those in the audience and watching on television, Memorial Day weekend is this weekend. Please take time to remember those who have served the country.
Well said. Thank you. Alderman Lockmiller.
Normally, Public Works meets on Wednesdays at 4:30, but to better accommodate residents, the committee's decided to move it to the following Thursday, the next day, Thursday, at 6 o'clock. So we'll meet every second Thursday at 6, right here. Our next meeting will be June 13th at 6 o'clock, right here. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot. Alderwoman O'Neill.
Yes, Ward 4's ward meeting will be the same Tuesday, the 28th, at 6 o'clock at the Brentwood Forest Clubhouse, preceding the Board of Managers meeting, and anyone is welcome.
Awesome. Alderwoman Parker Tice.
Following on that theme, the Ward 1 meeting will be tomorrow night at the Community Center at 6:30.
Awesome. Alderman Plufka remains absent here this evening. Alderwoman Sims.
No report.
And Alderman Weggie.
No report.
Thank you, sir. Brentwood Bound update. Yes, sir.
Hi, good evening. Craig Schlitter with Navigate Building Solutions. I'll be providing the Brentwood Bound update tonight.
Thank you.
Starting with investment costs. Recent investment costs include the purchase of the TMD property. Total spent to date is $3,603,543.50. Next item is direct project costs. Recent direct project costs include the Deer Creek flood mitigation design and engineering and the property appraisal. Total spent to date is $2,572,221.83. And lastly, indirect costs. Recent indirect costs include project management services. Total spent to date is $1,287,711.52. Any questions?
Questions on the Brentwood Bound update? Thank you very
Great,
much.
thank you.
Moving right along. Moving on the agenda, we have the Mid-County Veterans Memorial Committee, an invitation for the Memorial Day ceremony, and Parks Chairman, yes, please.
Quick update on that. The Mid-County Veterans Committee has invited everyone to the Memorial Day ceremony on Thursday, May 23rd at 5:30 p.m. at the Mid-County's Veterans Memorial Gazebo at the Heights. That's at 8100 Dale Avenue in Richmond Heights. The ceremony will honor local veterans from World War I, including those from Brentwood who served and those who made the ultimate sacrifice. So please attend.
Thank you very much. We have, at the call of the mayor, a special meeting of the Board of Aldermen. Want to make sure that the residents are aware of this public meeting and to make sure that you have the opportunity to go in advance and plan this on your calendar. June 18th, next month at 6 p.m. This would be the exception to the rule when we normally during summer just have one meeting a month. So the special meeting of the Board of Aldermen, June 18th at 6 p.m. And I believe, this is going to be over at the Rec Center, so meeting room A over across the street there. And it'll be about Brentwood Bound, next steps, following the vote by the residents regarding the funding, and it's a workshop. So come if you get a chance, 6 p.m. on the 18th of next month. We have next on the agenda the consent agenda. So what we want to do is go through and read through what's available there, find out if anybody has anything they'd like to take off. Otherwise, we'll move forward. And from the way I see it, we've got the standing committee reports, which is the Ways and Means, Public Works Committee, the Public Safety Committee, the meeting of the board minutes from April 15th last month, the warrant lists presented for review and approval, 2019 budget, the operating budget expenditures of $95,606.44, and the 2019 series COP certificates $1,251,063.57 for a total of $1,346,670.01. The Brentwood Bound update, got that for you. Resolution 1147 covers a bid award for the hazardous materials testing and air monitoring services associated with the demolition of the home and shed at 8746 Eulalie Avenue, just across the street here. And Resolution 1148, that's the bid award for the pre-demolition asbestos inspection services proposal for 14 commercial properties located near Deer Creek. And there you have the items on the consent agenda. Would anybody like to remove any of those or any questions? If not, a motion to move forward and approve as presented.
So moved.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a first and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. And roll call, please.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Leahy,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
and Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Thank you so much. We passed the consent agenda. We're up to the old business and one of the latter parts of our agenda this evening, Bill number 6240. And I guess, Mr. City Attorney, if we could have the second reading, please.
Bill number 6240, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance providing for a boundary adjustment between the cities of Brentwood, Missouri and Webster Groves, Missouri, and providing for the effective date of this ordinance.
And this goes on to talk about facilitating parks, trail systems, and floodplain improvements, all part of our Brentwood Bound project. Does anybody have any questions or discussion about Bill 6240? Alderman Leahy.
Your Honor, I'll make the motion to perfect Bill 6240 into ordinance form, please.
Motion
I'll second.
and a second. We have a motion and a second. Any questions regarding that motion? And a roll call, please.
Alderman Kramer,
Yes.
Alderman Leahy,
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller,
Yes.
Alderwoman O'Neill,
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice,
Yes.
Alderman Plufka, absent, sorry, Alderwoman Sims,
Yes.
and Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Bill number 6240 passes and upon signature of the mayor becomes ordinance number 4878.
Excellent. We have made it almost to the end spectacularly. Bill number 6241. Mr. City Attorney, may we have the second reading?
Bill number 6241, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance to rezone property located at 8820 Lawn Avenue from B Single Family Residential District to PD Planned Development Overlay District and approving a site plan in association therewith.
So the property owner desires to construct a parking lot to accommodate the Milton office building on Brentwood Boulevard. That requires a rezoning to planned development. The new parking lot will consist of 21 parking spaces. And with my apologies, the previous commenter during our public comment asked a question about this. I didn't give our board a chance to respond. So a response to that, if anyone has one, or a question. Any questions? Okay.
I have one, and I'm
Alderwoman
not sure
O'Neill.
who is speaking to do this. Already driving past, I have noticed that patrons of OB Clark's have discovered that this is a wide-open parking spot. With the church there, they couldn't see the parking spaces. With the church gone, they're using those parking spaces. And I'm wondering if the people at OB Clark's will have their traffic guard supervise this, or if there's been any coordination between the Milton Building people and OB Clark's. Does anybody have any idea?
Eric, do you have any idea about that?
No, unfortunately, I don't have an answer to that, but what we can do is we can talk to OB Clark's and the Milton Building and also talk to Planning Development to see if that's something that they can look into.
In general, we do not police the identity of people parking on private lots. So it's going to be
Clark-
largely an issue for the property owners to
But then-
sort out themselves.
Yes, there have been issues with OB Clark's when they first moved in, so this is a neighborhood contention, I know. It's good to let them work it out.
Anybody else? Need a motion to perfect? Alderman Leahy?
I will make a motion to perfect Bill 6241 into ordinance form, please.
Second.
Have a first and a second. Any questions regarding that motion? And a roll call, please. Oh, Alderman Leahy?
Yes. Your Honor, I'm not opposed to this bill, and I understand the need for the Milton Building to get additional parking. My fear is I do agree with the resident, by doing this bill and allowing it to happen, we have not changed the encroachment into residential, because the comprehensive plan established that depth, and we're still there. But O.B. Clark's has a parking problem, as pointed out, and they do own a few residential homes that go north of their property. I'm afraid we're setting the precedent that would allow them to do that encroachment on those properties. And as much as I agree with the resident, I do understand it's needed to fix problems because of the popularity of being in Brentwood. So I will vote in favor of the bill, but it is not without other considerations.
Thank you, Alderman. Any other questions or comments? And roll call, please.
Alderman Kramer?
Yes.
Alderman Leahy?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
No.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Yes.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Wiggy?
Yes.
Bill number 6241 passes, and upon signature of the mayor becomes ordinance number 4879.
All right. Now we get to the part of the meeting where I change glasses and can see everyone in the room. And we have an invitation for you to come forward for the last citizen comments of the evening. If you would like to do so, now's the time to come forward. Once again, name, address if you're willing, and comments, criticism, or compliments are all welcome.
Karen Smith on Harrison again. I'm just going to follow up to the Bill 6241. So in response to Alderman Leahy's comments regarding O.B. Clark's and the purchase of several residential properties that they own, that is the MO for a lot of the developers along, or the owners, I guess, along Brentwood Boulevard, is that they buy the homes in the back of them. They rent them out, not always to very scrupulous residents that would be of the same standards as we would like to see in Brentwood. West Community Credit Union ran into some people that brought drugs into our area that was not addressed. So the rental properties can present problems to a neighborhood. Oftentimes the renters are not participating members of our communities because they kind of come and go, which that's totally understandable. I understand that when you rent, that can be the case. So those properties a lot of times are not maintained, and I can share some examples with you, but they're not maintained at the same level as other properties in the neighborhood. And then, of course, when they want to expand and deeper back into our neighborhoods, they already own the properties. They've been troubled properties. The homes aren't in that great of shape, and so everybody kind of just lets it happen. And then we have continued encroachment back into our residential areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward? Now's the opportunity. We appreciate you being here. To our city attorney's point, the topic of the parking on that lot is kind of between the property owner and the other property owner, those two folks across the street from each other. I do know that the operator, O.B. Clark's, has on a regular basis been aware of some of their patrons parking in that garage underneath the Milton building for some time. And perhaps whether there's an official agreement or unofficial agreement, I don't know that we're aware of it, but that would be between those two parties. And to the extent that they cause a disturbance or an issue on the streets or something that would be in violation of our planning, we would have to review that, but we certainly appreciate everyone's thoughts on the topic. Does anybody else have anything? If not, we'll take a motion to adjourn. Oh, Alderman Leahy.
Motion to adjourn, Your Honor.
There you go.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for your time.
Wow, that set a record.
24 minutes.